More serious issue, of course, is the Clinton Foundation. It has since blossomed into a $2 billion organized criminal enterprise parading as a charitable foundation, with hubby Bill profiting as the world's middleman.
I've been telling you about this for years, and tonight, the case against the Clintons. Plus,
I think for the most part we agree on a lot of different items, and we're getting there.
optimism from Donald Trump about coming to an agreement with Paul Ryan. Tonight, one of the most prominent members of the Trump team, Dr. Ben Carson, is here with some inside information. And later,
Secretary Clinton received, if my memory is correct, about 450 superdelegates before anybody else was in the race.
Hey, Bernie, I'm with you. I'll get into this superdelegate mess with a member of the Sanders team as we approach yet another Tuesday contest for the Democrats.
I say to those superdelegates in the states where we won landslide victories, listen to the people of your state.
And listen good. Justice starts now.
Hello and welcome to Justice. I'm Judge Jeanine Pirro. Thanks for being with us tonight. Now to my open. Hillary Clinton cannot be president of the United States. And if the establishment, including law enforcement, does not stop her, you have to. Now, this is not about politics or political favoritism. It's about you, your family, and this great nation. It's about preventing people who have no regard for the law, or you for that matter, from running this country. At a time when just about everybody is fed up with establishment politicians, when two outsiders are winning epic contests against preordained presidential candidates, Hillary Clinton is still in line to be coronated the Democratic nominee for President of the United States. Now, how can the woman who is under criminal investigation, who knows she's under criminal investigation, but lies to your face saying that she's not, continue on her path to the White House? Now, the majority of Americans believe, and are right, that Hillary Clinton is untrustworthy, dishonest, and a liar. Hillary has danced with federal prosecutors for most of her career. She knows how to delete, conceal, and destroy evidence. Remember those pesky missing Rose law firm files? Not to mention 30,000 deleted emails deleted in a minute. She lies so much she doesn't know the difference between the truth and a lie, and like most liars, can't keep those stories straight. Example. This week, in response to Hillary's claim that the FBI was doing a security inquiry on her private homebrewed server, one, by the way, conducted reportedly by over 100 FBI agents, FBI Director Jim Comey says, security inquiry? I don't know that term. We investigate crimes. This is a law enforcement proceeding. I told you guys that 3 months ago. Now, the cynics among you may say it's all political, but Jim Comey is appointed by Barack Obama, and he is one of the most clear-headed, brilliant, logical, and honorable people in Washington, D.C., a trait somewhat foreign to that town. And don't give me that woman thing where, oh, it's time for a female president. Yeah, it is. But not her. What makes you think that electing this woman who spent most of her career riding her husband's coattails is necessarily a good thing? Doesn't it depend on the individual, man or woman? And for those of you who think a woman will automatically help other women, consider this. The Clinton Foundation, an organization over which the Clintons have control, pays female employees 38 cents less per dollar than males. So much for that old pay inequality thing. Supporting women? Hillary made her bones creating the attack team on all the women who said Bill engaged in sexual activity, ranging from harassment to affairs to worse. But if these women are all liars, as they say, why was Paula Jones awarded $850,000 from the Clintons and Monica Lewinsky's dress? If only that blue dress could talk. Which brings me to the Clinton Foundation, an alleged 501c3 not-for-profit, parading as a charity that I see as nothing more than a piggy bank for the Clintons and their friends and her presidential campaign. Just this week, it was reported that this wonderful charitable organization gave $2 million to Bill's blonde divorcee friend, designated the Energizer by the Secret Service when she visited him at his home in Chappaqua, when Hillary, of course, was on the road. The report in the Wall Street Journal says money from the charity was actually given to a for-profit company, partly owned by Miss Energizer. According to government watchdog groups, this may very well violate federal law. And consistent with past Clinton behavior, the destruction and or removal of evidence begins. Shortly after the grant, Miss Energizer's company was reportedly removed from the Clinton Global Initiative's website. I'm sure it was an oversight like the monies from countries to the foundation when Hillary was Secretary of State, which countries her department made decisions that benefited. You know, the Clintons have always been about the Clintons. Evidence, Benghazi. She lied about the video when she knew it was al-Qaeda so that she could benefit politically. But even that doesn't matter as much as knowing there are men waiting for help on a rooftop for hours in Benghazi when the assault on that consulate took place. And you, of course, remember that 2003 campaign 3 a.m. phone call. She wants you to believe shows that she is ready to protect us. That's baloney. She had a chance to prove it in Benghazi, and she proved just the opposite, that her political future was more important than American lives. And the woman has no shame, claiming that the parents of Sean Smith and Tyrone Woods are lying, not her, about what she said to them as her children's bodies were brought into Andrews. The woman has never been able to keep her story straight. From one BlackBerry for convenience, and then there were 3. And then from 3, there were 30,000 emails destroyed. She engages in the destruction of evidence to protect herself. And she and Bill are in it together. Bill just last week saying that that email investigation is kind of like a speeding ticket. Really, Bill? No, Bill. It's got nothing to do with a speeding ticket. It's got to do with espionage, conspiracy, destruction of evidence, concealment, and risking the secrets of this great nation for the world to see. Even Russia has admitted it's gotten 20,000 of her emails. Gusefer, the guy from Romania that they brought over, a convicted hacker, says that hacking Hillary's emails was one of the easiest things he had ever done. So why do they get away with it? Why do they, or why can they do things that if any of us, even a 4-star general does, would put us in jeopardy or in jail? What is it about them that puts them above the law? I submit it is the people that are indebted to them, the people for whom the Clintons have done favors, the people that she actually emailed on that server that might be in jeopardy for having received those emails and knowing there was classified information on her email, on that unsecured server, on that non-government website. The classic inside game is what the Clintons do. You know, for years, Americans have been working 2 and 3 jobs to support their families, and they've watched as Washington politicians elected to represent us walk into those hallowed chambers and proceed to line their pockets and their pensions and their campaign re-election coffers and walk out multimillionaires. And the Clintons are no different. In fact, they're among the worst. If the establishment is not willing to admit that no one is above the law and is not willing to garner justice, then ordinary Americans need to make sure that the scales of justice are level for all of us. And that means that Hillary cannot be president. And that's my open. Tell me what you think on my Facebook page or Twitter, hashtag Judge Jeanine. Now, some Democrats see things a little differently when it comes to the Clintons, the foundation, and all that money. And joining me now is my friend, Democratic strategist and principal at the Dewey Square Group, Marianne Marsh. All right, good evening, Marianne. You know,
good evening, Judge.
I'm not even going to ask you if I'm wrong, because I know you think I am. Now, Hillary Clinton. Misguided. Okay.
Misguided.
You know, I don't know. I've got a pretty good record, but let's talk about the what is now coming out. I think you know, Marianne, as I do, that the foundation is now coming under more serious review. And when the director of the FBI takes her comment about a security inquiry and says, this is law enforcement investigation, we do criminal probes, that's a little embarrassing, isn't it?
Well, Judge, given your background before you took on this job at Fox, you dealt in facts. And let's deal with the facts. And the facts first on the foundation are pretty clear. The Clinton Foundation helping homes become more energy efficient is in keeping with their goals. They hired a legitimate vendor to do it. And the money was donated by one of the people referenced in that article.
Okay,
no money was given
vendor,
the other way.
Talking about
donated.
The Energizer woman?
I'm talking about the company that was used to do this. There were several investors, and the woman referenced in this article donated $2 million for this program to be done, not the other way around. That's a fact. As for the FBI director, Mr. Comey,
I'm not real clear on this. Are you saying that her company did not get money from the Global Initiative?
No, I'm saying she donated the money to the foundation for this program to be done, and it went to a company of which she has a small share.
Okay, so she donates money to give to a company that she has a small share of? Does that make sense to you, Marianne?
No, she donated to the foundation, which then hired a company of which she has a small share to do this program, which is in keeping with its policy.
All right. Let's talk about Jim Comey. Now, this woman is a lawyer. Hillary Clinton is one smart woman. She's been under investigation by the feds lots of times. How could she think that Jim Comey sooner or later wouldn't say this is a criminal investigation?
Well, it's pretty surprising, I think, that he came out and even said anything. I don't recall any other time that Jim Comey's had a press conference on a matter like this or any other. So I think that's certainly disappointing, but might explain the number of leaks that have come out about this investigation. Personally, I think it's semantical hair-splitting. Security, it's all about security. You said it in your open as well. That's the central issue here. Whether it's an inquiry or investigation, I think matters little. What does matter here, though,
is hold on, Judge, one point. Marianne, I get your point, but what you're saying is that Jim Comey, in answer to a question, is not allowed to say when Hillary is running for the highest office in the land, he's not allowed to say, to rebut her lie, that this is a law enforcement investigation, that the FBI investigates crimes, not civil issues?
I'm not saying that at all. All I'm saying it's very surprising that the director of the FBI came out and had a press conference on this matter when he hasn't done it on any other that I can recall.
I think the really important it was just on this matter. I think it was a question that he was asked.
I think it was surprising that he chose to even answer any question about an ongoing investigation or inquiry, however you'd like to put it. I think the real issue here, Judge, is it's the political piece. Separate from the investigation, why does this matter? To your open, people are trying to use the issue of character and trust against Hillary Clinton, which you certainly outlined in your open. Many other of her opponents are as well. Now, think about this for a minute. If she's vindicated, which I believe she will be, then that allows her to turn the tables against everybody who has accused her of these things, including her potential opponent in the presidential campaign.
Well, okay,
that's something everyone should keep in mind
Marianne.
here.
You know what?
Yeah.
For you, I hope she's able to turn the tables, but I'll tell you what, there's no turning the tables on the FBI or opponents, and there is no more honorable guy than Jim Comey. Anyway, Marianne Marsh, thanks for being with us. Actually, you're going to stay right there. We're going to have you back a little later in the show with our political panel. Then you can think about an answer. Like her or not, Hillary Clinton still has yet to lock up that Democratic nomination, with 2 more states on the table this Tuesday. Meanwhile, Donald Trump gearing up for the general election. With me now to talk about it all is the director of the Center for Politics at the University of Virginia, my friend Larry Sabato. All right, Larry, how's your crystal ball tonight?
It's polished. Thank you, Judge.
Well, okay. You know what? We both know the polls only reflect a snapshot in a moment in time. But your crystal ball seems to, for whatever reason, have a long-term vision. And for months and months, every Republican ran on, I'm the only one who can beat Hillary. I'm the only one who can beat Hillary. And Donald Trump is the worst one. He can't beat Hillary. Fast forward a few months. I mean, there are polls where Trump is tied with the woman, and he hasn't even started against crooked Hillary. So what's going to happen?
Well, Judge, we live in a very polarized era, and essentially you've got, 47% of the people who are going to vote Republican no matter what, and you've got 47% of the people who are going to vote Democratic no matter what, and you really only have a few percent that can move between the two parties. Now, it's true, turnouts vary, and one side may be more enthusiastic or pumped up than the other one, and that may be the key to this election. But essentially, I think it has to be reasonably close in terms of the popular vote, that is within 4, 5, 6 points. We don't live in an era where you're going to have a 20-point victory like Lyndon Johnson had in 1964 or Richard Nixon had in 1972. I just don't think that's possible.
Okay, I don't think that it's, look, we all know it's going to be close, Larry, but, for those who said, Kasich is the only one who can beat her, and that establishment nonsense, why did Trump jump up so quickly?
He jumped up quickly, and this is, to me, very interesting, because the rank-and-file Republicans, that is, the average Republicans who are out there in the cities and counties, not just the volunteers and the activists, but people who just vote Republican, they got behind the nominee much more quickly than those who have senior elected positions, the elites of the party. That's where the opposition to Trump is concentrated. So when you look at the grassroots level, you look at the rank-and-file level, essentially they said, hey, we may have preferred another candidate. We may have voted for X in our primary, which came up early. But we don't want the Democratic nominee, the likely Democratic nominee, or for that matter, the other Democratic nominee. We're going to vote Republican. That's really what's happened, and it's why it's tightened up.
Okay. So now what we've got is we've got 2 candidates. If it's Clinton and Trump, 100% name ID, I'm sure, almost for each one of them. Both of them have pretty high negatives. Is it a given that, given the fact that this is going to be such a close race, that we can expect the VP candidate to be from a swing state? And since Hillary can do her VP after the Republicans do, how does she spin or riff off of that?
I've said for years, so to take it out of this election campaign, I've said for years the only thing that matters is the Electoral College. That's how you win. You have to get 270. So why not pick a vice presidential candidate
from one of those
who can win you a big, close state that you might not be able to secure otherwise? Doesn't that make the most sense, rather than having some airy theory about if you add this particular candidate, maybe you'll get 2% of this particular ethnic vote? Well, maybe it'll happen and maybe it won't. I think you're better off focusing on the big states.
Okay. Sorry, we got to go. Professor, hopefully we'll have you back soon. Thank you, Larry Sabato. And new details from inside the Trump team. Next, Dr. Ben Carson is here. Will the Republican Party unite behind its likely nominee? And who will that nominee pick as a running mate? Here to discuss it all is a member of the Trump team, former 2016 Republican presidential candidate, Dr. Ben Carson. Good evening, Dr. Carson. Good to have you here with us tonight.
Good to be with you, Judge.
I'm going to get right to it. Now, the big question now is unity, the Republican Party. And I understand that you're somewhat of an intermediary between Donald Trump and some of the establishment players like Paul Ryan, and that before Donald Trump went to D.C., you kind of smoothed the way a little. You want to tell us what that meant?
Well, you know, basically I just wanted to talk about the kind of person that Donald Trump is, and explain to Speaker Ryan and to a variety of other people that he's not a polished politician. And that means that he will say things that don't fit into nice, neat little packages like they're used to having. And it can be quite confusing sometimes. It resonates tremendously with the people themselves.
What was their reaction when you said, you know, he's not a polished politician, he doesn't speak political speak? Did they say, come on?
No, they actually do understand, particularly when I, you know, take an example and then explain what he's really talking about. You know, when he talks about entitlements and not being anxious to go in and change entitlements. If you explore that with him, what you find out is he wants to fix the economy. He wants to create jobs. He wants to create opportunities for people so that you have fewer people who are dependent on entitlements. Once you fix the economy, then you come back to that issue. But to do that first is cruel and unusual punishment.
Well, but Doctor, why didn't Paul Ryan endorse Donald Trump? And what's with this, we got to find common ground? If the people want him, why do we need Paul Ryan's permission?
Well, it's obviously much better to have a united party.
Well, who are they going to vote for?
Not spent...
Hillary Clinton?
Well, that's exactly right. If you have perspective, that's the conclusion that you will eventually come to. But, you know, it's a getting to know period, you know, and that's going to work out just fine when they get to know each other. And when some of the other Republicans begin to recognize that your alternative is not in any way consistent with conservative principles. Hillary Clinton was a fan of Saul Alinsky, who wrote a book called Rules for Radicals, the dedication page of which says dedicated to Lucifer. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Well,
I mean, why is that even a choice?
Well, let me move on to the VP thing. I want to move this thing forward a little. As you know, because the Republican convention's in July in Cleveland, and you know, Donald's VP will be named before the Democratic convention. Number one, will that VP be from a swing state? Because I think all presidential elections are only about swing states. And number two, kind of give us some idea of who it might be.
Yeah, I can give you an idea. It'll be somebody. It'll be somebody who loves and honors our Constitution, somebody who believes in fiscal responsibility, a strong military, strong education, and health care that is in the hands of patients and their physicians.
Okay. Real fast, because I'm coming up against a break.
That narrows it down.
Is that person in office right now? Is that person from a swing state? And is that person male or female? 10 seconds.
That person is a wonderful American who has a strong record of accomplishment and is somebody who is quite trustworthy.
All right. Dr. Ben Carson, thanks so much for being with us this evening.
Good to be with you, Judge.
All right. And still ahead tonight, talking foreign policy with Colonel David Hunt. And next, my political panel joins me live, and Marianne Marsh comes back. Time to talk 2016 politics with the panel. Democratic strategist Marianne Marsh is back, and we're also joined by Republican strategist Boris Epshteyn. Okay, let's talk to you, Boris. I'm going to cut right to the anti-Trump ad by Hillary Clinton regarding Trump's refusal to release his taxes. Is that going to hurt him, and why isn't he releasing them?
It's not going to hurt him. That hit has been around now for months, and it hasn't had any play in the primaries. Even an open primaries where Democrats and independents voted. Now, Clinton's got her own tax issues. The Clinton Foundation had to restate 4 years worth of tax returns because after she said she would not accept foreign government money, she did. The foundation did. And that was about $20 million of that and $8.8 million of federal grant money that the foundation released. So
that the foundation what?
That the foundation received. So they had to restate their tax returns because they did not disclose that the Clinton Foundation received $20 million.
All right, so what you're saying is the Clinton Foundation has tax problems or tax issues, and so that her attack on Donald doesn't matter.
I'm saying if I were Hillary Clinton, I wouldn't open that Pandora's box.
What do you say, Marianne?
Well, I think it's pretty easy. I mean, it's not going to hurt Donald Trump with Republicans. That's pretty clear because Republicans don't like the IRS. It will hurt him with independents. And to my point earlier, Hillary Clinton gets cleared of the email situation and everything else, then she can turn to Donald Trump and say, I put my taxes out there. I'm transparent about all these things. You're questioning my character and my transparency. Why don't you put your taxes out there, too? That's where it's going to turn against Donald Trump, and I think that's where he's making a mistake.
Her getting cleared of the email thing, which is an investigation by the FBI, pretty big assumption to say she's going to get cleared. As of now,
Boris, I didn't interrupt you, Boris, but the point I'm making here is the fact that, assuming she does, and I believe she will, politically in a campaign, that's how she's going to use it against him, is to turn the character, trust, and transparency issue against him.
Marianne, do you have any reason to believe, or do you have any information that this FBI investigation, law enforcement, criminal investigation is going to be ended and that'll be it? Do you have any inside information? Because I know you're an insider.
I have no inside information, and I'm waiting like everybody else, and believe it'll be done, before the election for sure. And I got to believe at some point this summer. But when the FBI director goes out there and talks about it, last point on that. I mean, he could have. I mean, Director Comey could have said, "I don't comment on ongoing investigations." He did not do that.
Yeah, he didn't, because I think, you know what I think? I think she pushed her. She poked the eye of the tiger. Oh, this is nothing. I'm absolutely certain it's no big deal. It's a civil. It's this. It's that. And you know what? You can't poke the tiger and not expect him to come back. Now, let's talk about Bernie Sanders. I'm all right. Bernie Sanders. How are you going to get him out, Marianne?
Well, he's never going to get the delegates he needs to be the nominee. I mean, Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump needs exactly the same amount of delegates to be their nominees. They're both the nominees. And I think after June 7th, Bernie Sanders is going to see that he can't be the nominee. And I expect him at that point to certainly come to the convention, no doubt participate in it. But that's the end of his campaign after June 7th.
You have a lot of expectations. The truth is, he said he's there till the last vote. That's what he said. What do you say?
Well, no matter what happens, it's a huge testament to the weakness of Hillary Clinton that Bernie Sanders, a socialist, is still in it and winning state after state after state.
All right,
no matter what happens, it's weakening her.
Marianne, he just won West Virginia, the coal miners, okay? Trump and Sanders, which is kind of interesting because they're both the outsiders and they both won West Virginia. Is energy going to be a wedge issue in this campaign?
Look, there are states that are in play in the general election. Ohio, Pennsylvania, maybe. It's never really been a Republican state. Let's say Trump has maybe a chance there. West Virginia's never in the Democratic column. There are a few there that it could be an issue, but I don't think it's going to be the issue. I think ultimately what everyone has to focus on is the choice that millions of people are going to have in the fall is between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, and arguing about who has the best ideas to put this country and continue on a path forward so people have good jobs and good wages. That's what this election's all about.
35% of voters in West Virginia who did not vote for Hillary Clinton said they will vote for, guess who? Donald Trump. And those are the same voters who are in Ohio and Pennsylvania. So if we, as Republicans, win Ohio, Pennsylvania, Florida, then look at Michigan, and New York is going to in play. I firmly believe New York will be in play. Donald Trump will be the next president.
Well, you know what? A lot of predictions here tonight. Marianne Marsh and Boris Epshteyn, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jen.
All right. And I go one-on-one with a Bernie Sanders advisor next. Stay with us. Democratic primaries in Kentucky and Oregon on Tuesday as Hillary Clinton keeps fighting to put away Bernie Sanders. And with me now is Sanders Senior Advisor Larry Cohen. All right, Larry, thank you for being here tonight. I know that we don't see much of you on this channel, so we're thrilled to have you on tonight. Now, what do you say quickly, because I have a lot of questions, those people who say, Sanders, get out, you're in the way, she's the queen. What do you say to them?
We say every voter, every delegate. Bernie, a year ago, decided to run for president, to build basically a movement for change, to end the cronyism that you talked about in the opening. And we've come so far. We are thrilled by it. And we expect to go to Philadelphia with at least 1,800 delegates, fight for change, or make Bernie the nominee.
All right, 1,800 delegates, Larry. How many do you need?
To nominate him as president, you need about 2,200.
2,200, okay.
But a lot of this is about superdelegates. Yes. I happen to be one, but we are going to campaign to get rid of superdelegates.
Right, okay, and that's what I want to talk to you about. I think superdelegates is really a rigged convention. The fix is in, and I think Hillary knows full well after the 2008 convention when this, she lost the superdelegates, or before she got out of the race, she knew that she had to lock those guys up, and she did. That's what she's been doing. So what are your chances of getting them? And, they already know what Bernie stands for, so they're either for her or for him.
Well, I mean, again, we're really in this on a train running on two tracks. One is make Bernie the nominee, and there's still a narrow path to do that. We have no illusions, though. The other path that we're on, the other track, is really to say this needs to be a populist party. We need to get rid of the cronyism. We need to get rid of the superdelegates. We need to get rid of the way finance has worked in the Democratic Party. We need real transparency. Yeah. And that's the other reason Bernie got in this campaign. It wasn't just to be president of the United States.
Right, right. But no, Bernie is part of a movement. I mean, there's no question about it. He believes what he says, but let me ask you, I mean, if Bernie wants so much to be president that he's going to stay in, quote, to the last vote, why didn't he go after her with the email? And don't give me nobody cares. Why doesn't he go after the Clinton Foundation? I mean, you either go for the jugular or get out of the race.
Bernie is a campaigner on issues primarily. I mean, no one is exactly, perfect on these kinds of things, but he got into this race because he believed that there were major issues about what kind of democracy we have, major issues about the economy not working for many Americans, if not most, at this point in history. And he didn't get in the race to go after things that, as you said earlier, the FBI can handle a lot better.
Well, okay, but at the same time, and I certainly accept your answer. I mean, if you want to win, and if you believe in your issues, you want to win, you do what you have to win. But California, what are the numbers there, and what are her chances and his?
We believe that our campaign is really strong in California. There's still 3 weeks, more than 3 weeks to go there. Some people they do have early voting for about 40% of the people traditionally. But we think we have a great chance to win there. Oregon, I spent a lot of time in Oregon last week. We believe we're going to win very big in Oregon.
On Tuesday.
There's lots of similarities in those states.
Okay, and of course a big win in West Virginia, which I think speaks to your candidate and his message. Now, in terms of VP, and I only have a few seconds left, wouldn't he be able to get out his message by being VP, and wouldn't she benefit by nominating him? 15 seconds.
I think that's up to him and her. There definitely would be advantages of Bernie Sanders in either position on a ticket. But at the same time, realistically, he didn't get in this to be vice president either. And I think he'll go on to help lead a major movement in America.
All right, Larry Cohen, even though he didn't get into be VP, he goes back to being senator, right? Or rather be VP.
Yeah,
anyway,
and
Larry
likely
Cohen,
a chair.
thanks so much. And what kind of commander-in-chief of our nation's military would Donald Trump make? Colonel David Hunt is here with a take you may find surprising. I did. That's so right. Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. Who will serve as the better commander-in-chief of this nation's military? And joining me now is Fox News military analyst Colonel David Hunt and Iraq and Afghanistan war veteran and executive director of the Massachusetts Fallen Heroes, Dan Magoon. All right, thank you both for being here. Now, Colonel Hunt, you're my friend, and you've been for a long time, and everyone right now is curious as to who is going to be the better commander-in-chief. You've got military experience, and who do you think and why?
Yeah, from a pure military strategy standpoint, military issue, I'm for predictability. I know what I'm getting. This is not, for me, not political. I know what I'm getting with Clinton. I do not know what I'm getting with Trump.
So what's your answer?
For strictly military security?
Yeah, I'm not asking you about economics tonight.
Right. Military security, I go with what I know, which is Clinton.
So you favor Clinton over Donald Trump?
On military strategy was your question.
Okay.
I think it's a tough choice, but I have no idea what Trump is going to do.
Let me ask you a question. You know, when you say that she is predictable, she's predictable in that we don't help. We don't send help to people on a rooftop in Benghazi, and we lie about it.
Lying, yes. Absolutely she did. You and I did that 2 years ago.
Yeah.
The President of the United States is the one that didn't send that rescue team, not the Secretary of State. Period. And she is actually harder right, more aggressive than Trump is right now. Trump is left of her when it comes to military stuff.
But you're the one who's always said that, you know, we've had 3 presidents and 24 years of war in the Middle East, and we're not going to solve it. So, you know, what do you want to do? Bomb them again?
Hell no, I don't want to bomb, but I like to have some idea of, again, it's for me, predictability. And right now, I don't know what he's doing.
What is predictable about Hillary Clinton?
We know how she's going to be based on the time she's been Secretary of State. Period. We know what it is.
She hasn't accomplished a darn thing as Secretary of State.
We agree. Well, I absolutely agree with that.
All right, that's it. I don't agree with you, but whatever.
I didn't expect you to.
All right, Dan Magoo. Dan, I'm looking at the two of you. There's what, 40 years difference? We got Vietnam and everything else that you've done, and then we've got Iraq and Afghanistan, a bunch of tours. And how has the rules of engagement changed from the time that the colonel was in and the time that you're in?
Well, obviously, I think we've had some of the biggest issues in my generation, the war fighters that are coming home, and some of the things that we've been, you know, fighting this war for 15 years, and every couple of years things are changing, going back to 2006, 2007 when the ROE changed. When I was in Afghanistan, currently to some of the most current crises in Iraq and Afghanistan, we're still having the same issues. So until we can make those changes and we can actually defeat the enemy the way we need to, and go back to some of the things you were talking about between Clinton and Trump. You know, look at the military today. The most recent poll and the most recent data that we have is most military are favoring Trump because they know they want something different.
Do you favor Trump over her?
I do.
Okay, no doubt about it.
No doubt.
You're going to take him out and tell him what he needs to do?
I don't think I can tell him what.
But you both were on the front lines, okay? You were freer to engage the enemy than Dan is, no question about it. Do you feel that your hands were tied behind your back?
Well, I mean, I can't. I didn't do what he did, but, you know, definitely have, it's hurting our military right now, and things need to change.
All right, let's talk about the veterans. You run an organization, the Massachusetts Fallen Heroes, which is a great organization, and given how veterans have been treated by the Veterans Administration, Wounded Warriors is in a mess with $800 million or something that they use for conferences. Right. Why is your program better than most?
Well, I think the success we have is veterans are doing it. It's being built by veterans. It's being built by great Americans. Is being built by the local, it's at a local level, and that's what we did. We stayed local, we stayed in Massachusetts, and we found a success with the different programs, not only with the memorial, but and not only honoring our fallen, but also empowering the veterans that are coming home. And we did something that's a little bit different because we needed to do something that nobody else was doing, and that's take care of the families of the fallen. And we do that at a local level, and we do it with other veterans, and we do it with great volunteers, but we're not massive. We're not shooting for the moon. We're staying where we are, and we've had a great success rate in the last 6 years.
This is the only one of its kind in the country. It's the best run organization I've ever seen. They take care of 221 families in Massachusetts. It's pure. Nobody's doing what they do. It's only one of its kind, and it's done by enlisted guys like Dan, who are also right now. He's a Boston fireman, and the rest of the guys are cops, and that's why it works.
My favorite group, cops, firemen, and the military. Massachusetts Fallen Heroes, Colonel David Hunt, Dan Magoo, thank you both for being here, and thank you for your service. And if you want more information, the Massachusetts Fallen Heroes organization, go to my Facebook page, Judge Jeanine Pirro. You'll find a link there. Take a look at it. Instagram, Judge_Jeanine. Tell me your thoughts on tonight's show. Did you like it? Didn't you like it? Thanks so much for watching. The Greg Gutfeld Show is next. I'll see you next Saturday night. Same time, same place, same me. Have a great week.